I'm going to tee you up for our next topic. We did want to talk about more about the football team that we have coming back this year,
Yes, sir.
and obviously it's list season. Everybody knows what list season is. We're in we're deep into June. People are getting anxious because the college football season is technically pretty close, but still feels a ways away. And so people get bored, and now we're making top 10 this and top 10 that. Um, but sometimes we do want to hit on what the college football sphere, media sphere, is talking and saying about Clemson. And there was one particular article um, that kind of does just that on a particular position group for the Tigers.
Yeah, look, absolutely, man. It's I love talking about this because we're not talking about the other stuff, right? That the national media constantly wants to talk about with when it comes to Clemson football. But as you mentioned, man, we're in the height of list season. We're in the height of preview magazine season. Preseason poll this, top 10 that. Um, who's favored to win which conference, who's got the best position group coming back. And that's kind of where we settled on tonight. We want to talk about one of Clemson's strongest position groups coming back in the season of 2024. And Pro Football Focus ranked basically the linebacker units coming back for each individual college football team. And Clemson found themselves for the second year in a row being at that top spot for the linebacker position group. Obviously, that's a huge deal for the Clemson Tigers. Let's not forget, we just lost Jeremiah Trotter Jr. to the NFL draft, an amazing middle linebacker that was kind of the centerpiece of our defense, the guy that got everybody lined up, the guy that made the call, the guy that made the reads, that made sure everybody had their specific spacing, all the D linemen were lined up in the gaps that they were supposed to. So that's a huge piece that we lose. And yet Clemson still finds himself atop college football when it comes to the linebacker position. Everybody knows we got Barrett Carter coming back. That dude is an absolute animal. I was so excited, as were all Clemson fans, right, hearing Barrett Carter's name, when he announced that he was coming back to Clemson and not going to the NFL draft. He was going to run it back one more year and see what he could do to help Clemson have a better football season. And it would be a much different picture if that guy went on to the NFL draft with Jeremiah Trotter. I can tell you that.
Oh yeah.
Um, can't wait to see. I mean, the guy is awesome in coverage. He's awesome in the run block. I think he ranks above 80% in both of those categories throughout last season. Just amazing. I mean, he had a really good season. Really good covering the flats. I mean, he's an athletic dude, a big guy. And then you got our buddy old Wade Woodass over there, or as Dabo likes to call him, Wade Whoopass over there.
Yeah.
Uh, and he's going to be obviously on the other side of that. Everybody knows what he can do. He's obviously, athletic piece. He's got big shoes to fill when it comes to filling the shoes of a Jeremiah Trotter Jr. But I think he's up for the task. You saw what he can do when we played Kentucky in that bowl game. He really was all over the field. He was in on seemingly every single tackle that Clemson had that game. Every time you looked up, Wade Woodaz was in on the tackle. Maybe not making a solo tackle, but he was in on everything, and the effort was relentless in that game, and that's always good to see. And then you got Kobe McLeod coming back, looking to take the next step in his progression as a Clemson linebacker. Really excited to see what he can do, and then not to mention the 5-star Sammy Brown coming into the fold. Right, you land a big time 5-star recruit that everybody in the country wanted, but Clemson landed. Everybody knows the flowing locks coming out of his helmet, everything he did in high school at not only the linebacker position but the running back position too. Just an absolute animal. We saw him in the spring game, and what did he do? First play in the spring game, sack.
Yeah.
Came right off the edge, blew past the offensive tackle, made him look like he was standing still, and absolutely murdered the quarterback if it wouldn't have been a whistle, two-hand touch type situation. So I think we should be extremely excited about our linebacker situation. I think it's going to anchor this defense, and we're really going to need it, right? As much as we talk about how good this defense is going to be, we feel really good about the defensive line, feel really good about the linebacker position. We feel good about the secondary as well, but there's still some young pieces that are going to be asked to do quite a lot in that secondary. And I think the benefit of having this linebacking core and all the previous starts and the previous snaps and all the experience coming back that you have there is going to pay huge dividends when it comes to the back end of this defense and kind of helping those safeties, helping those cornerbacks as we're trying to kind of put together a cohesive unit for the defense. So really excited about this linebacker room. Jordan, were you at all surprised seeing Clemson atop the linebacker position group when it came to the Pro Football Focus rankings?
I actually was at number one. I know I had no doubt that Clemson was going to be in that top 10.
Yeah,
But to be honest with you, I was a little bit surprised to see them number one just because of the loss of Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Like that was, that's it's extremely productive, and the leader of that room, and one of the captains of that defense.
right.
But I think that the article and kind of their list, I believe Max Chadwick was the one that made that list. He's showing a lot of respect to what Clemson has, as far as their depth is concerned. I mean, you hit on a couple guys. Of course, and of course bringing back Barrett Carter and Wade Woodaz is massive. Like I I think one of the things that a lot of people don't like, everybody knows Barrett Carter. Like he's kind of a household name as far as linebackers are concerned. But Wade Woodaz has not gotten the same amount of hype coming into the year. Uh, he would start at a lot of different for a lot of different defenses, in the country. And I think one of the things that makes especially this tandem of Barrett Carter and Wade Woodaz so great is just the versatility, man. Like they are extremely athletic, so they can cover, and that's one thing that
Yes.
has made Wes Goodwin's job a lot easier, and made it a really easy at times last year. Is you have two guys who have linebacker size that are basically extra safeties. They can be
Yep.
extra safeties at times.
Yep.
Um, and you can ask them to cover tight ends and in some cases wide receivers, and feel okay about it. But they also have the downfield play ability, and to make tackles. Wade Woodaz in particular. You mentioned what he did in the bowl game. Like I always think back to that. I believe it was like a jailbreak screen to Ray Davis, where there was
Yeah.
nobody. There was literally nobody in front, and Wade Woodaz completely just blows by his block, and makes the tackle on one of the hardest players to tackle in the country, to save what more than likely would have been a touchdown, and that was a
Yeah.
massive that was a massive swing in that game. Like he's a stud, man, in his own right, and he just hasn't gotten the same kind of recognition. So having these two guys, especially when you mentioned the youth that you have in the secondary, really talented secondary, but especially the young corners, Avion Terrell, Shelton Lewis. You bring back Jaden Lucas, who's actually one of the older guys in the room now, but he hasn't been able to stay healthy. And then of course the younger guys behind them. You know, we talked about how much we love this group, but it makes it even easier when you have the support of Barrett Carter and Wade Woodaz and
Yeah.
you can do a lot of different things with them in coverage to alleviate some of the pressure.
Right.
Um, and of course they create, they can create pressure, and for sacks, tackles for loss. So when you have that, it's basically you're basically cheat. It's like a cheat code. So
Yeah.
um,
Look, and then
I
I mean,
I do love this group. So I was surprised they were number one, but I think that's PFF showing the respect to what Clemson has, behind them, and giving them a lot of credit for bringing back Barrett Carter and Wade Woodaz. So Yeah, right. Really
Yeah,
excited about this group.
yeah, can't be understated bringing those dudes back. And you talk about creating pressure and stuff. I mean, look, when you got guys that can fit the run and then cover like Barrett Carter and Wade Woodaz can, you can get create like it. You talk about as kind of a cheat code for Wes Goodwin, right? I mean, think about the combinations that you can create with that because they're really good in coverage. You can drop them in coverage, and now you got a safety blitz, right? So it really causes confusion for the quarterback, causes confusion for the offense, and suddenly they're getting blown up and out of nowhere, right? Because you're so versatile in the things that you can do with your linebacking core and switching out safeties and getting creative with the pressures that you're bringing to keep that offense off balance. So it starts with guys like that and having the core of your defense um, be that versatile and a strength for you is definitely. I'm sure Wes Goodwin would be the first to tell you that makes his job significantly easier. So let's pray for health. Let's hope
Yes.
for everybody getting out of fall camp healthy because I think this linebacker core, obviously, and this defense as a whole, has a chance to be special this year. Again, we got some young guys that are going to play some key roles this year. So there's obviously a chance of some bigger plays, some busts happening. Because you are relying on some younger individuals at some key spots on that defense. But I still think it's going to be a pretty special year for the Clemson defense. I feel confident in that. We'll see about the
Uh,
offense.
yeah, absolutely. And that will obviously be the difference maker on how Clemson season plays out. Um,
Right.
and I did want to hit on one guy we didn't even mention. Jamal Anderson, uh, a guy that has almost like he's almost like another Barrett Carter, Isaiah
Yeah.
Simmons. Like he can, like, as far as his athleticism. I mean, we saw what he was capable of in the bowl game. He's a guy that can really do a lot for you, and I'm really excited to see kind of how his role increases in 2024. You already mentioned Kobe McLeod. We'll see what he does, and he'll be taking on a bigger role. D. Creighton, um, like, and then of course Sammy Brown coming in as a 5-star. Man, he's going to play, but we'll see kind
Yeah.
of how he fits into the rotation there. Um, so you really do have a lot of options, and it's really exciting to just to have you know those two guys back in particular to kind of be the leaders and kind of spearhead the growth for a lot of the younger guys. And so this linebacker room, I mean, Wes Goodwin it's his position, it's his baby, kind of like
Yeah.
it was with Brent Venables. So he's going to ask them to do a lot,
Yep.
and you got to have really, really smart. First of all, really smart football players to play
Yeah.
that position. Um, and in the modern day of college football, with how much how difficult it is to stop these high powered offenses, you got to have linebackers that can cover. If you
Yeah.
don't, it makes things a lot more difficult. So yeah, I do really like the makeup of this room, and I shout out to PFF. I'll take it. I wasn't expecting number one, but I
Yeah.
am
I
not
mean,
mad
look,
at it.
best linebacker room in the country. I'm sure there's a ton of different ways that you can argue that, and I'm sure the fan bases in the top 10 would have plenty to say about Clemson being up there at the number one spot. But at the end of the day, one, two, three, four, five, it doesn't matter. It's an elite group of linebackers that we have returning, and there's no doubt about that. So, argue for best in the country or whatever the case may be. I think it's definitely top five in the country, no doubt about that. And shout out to Pro Football Focus for giving Clemson the nod and giving the respect to one Barrett Carter and then Wade Woodaz as well for being those veteran guys returning and really anchoring that room.
Absolutely. And we'll kind of see how it all comes together. I mean, the exciting thing is that and also um, not, I don't want to say scary, but it's kind of, you're anticipating it, is that they're not going to have anywhere to hide week one. So we're going to kind of
Right.
get to see these guys in their
And
in full action, and we're gonna see what this group is actually made of when they
yeah,
play that Georgia offense, because
not
they
not to mention that
are really good, obviously.
Clemson will be going against the number 3 linebacker group in the country, according to Pro Football Focus. So
Oh, that's very
uh,
true.
Georgia checked in at number 3 on that list. So it goes both ways in week one. Like we've stated before, that game's you're gonna figure out exactly where Clemson is, how much progress has been made specifically on the offensive side of the ball. But the defense, like, make no mistake, that defense is going to get tested in a big way in week one as well. So it's a measuring stick all the way around for Clemson to find out where they are and how much further they got to go to climb back up to where they were once upon a time.